Oh, because busts get $3 million a year, right, Lego? Today, we have an update, because we just made a video talking about Kirby Dach, Montreal Canadiens forward, and whether or not he is a bust. And we also went over the ongoing contract situation, because that played a big part into whether or not this bust discussion actually was valid to be having. But we have an update on Dach because the Canadiens have signed him, and we also have an update on the Vancouver Canucks, and one of the names that they have brought back to the organization against all odds. They are seriously just doing the 2011 thing. So, let's get things off with Kirby Dach right here in this video. No, we're not talking about Trevor Zegras. No, we're not talking about Connor McMichael. Let's go out there and talk about Dach. He signs a $3.6 million one-way, one-year deal. That is as bare bones as you were going to get when it comes to Kirby Dach. Now, as we just spoke about, the Montreal Canadiens, they qualified Dach with a two-way contract offer. They gave him the opportunity to sign what would have been a $4 million two-way deal that would have seen him making $4 million in the NHL, but also only $100,000 in the AHL. Dach and his representation were not happy with that deal, it seemed. And there could be a number of reasons as to why that was. First, it's either you don't value me enough to give me a one-way contract where I'm making the same amount of money in the NHL and the AHL. Two, wait a minute, does this mean that you think I'm bad enough that I could actually get sent down to the AHL in the first place? And three, if I do get sent down, there's a risk that my earnings goes down to $100,000 a year because nobody is going to claim me. There are so many implications as to why either party was either throwing that contract offer out there or not willing to accept it, and Kirby Dach ends up going to arbitration. The Habs end up signing him to a one-year, one-way deal. $3.6 million is just a tad over what he was making the past 4 seasons in the National Hockey League. And we just spoke about how Kirby Dach is a guy who hasn't been able to stay healthy and who hasn't been able to hold down a consistent top spot in the lineup. He had 5 points in 19 playoff games, yes, but he didn't have a point in however many games this is straight. 9 games straight, that's what it is. 9 games. He was getting played 8 minutes a night, some of these games. So it begs the question, is Kirby Dach on path to becoming the player that we all thought he was going to be? He is now 25 years old. So there are a number of red flags that pop up when analyzing the long-term future of Kirby Dach and his game. Sometimes players just can't be mid and survive in the National Hockey League. We're taking a look at that with Patrik Laine nowadays. He's a guy that I think is the most mid of them all, if not starting to creep into that bad territory, and he can't find a team. Is Kirby Dach destined for the same fate? Who really knows? Let's go out there and read some of the replies on the Twitter thread over here. Didn't the Canadiens just insult Dach with a two-way offer? What an awful offseason. Running back the same team again is just brutal. Sounds like the perfect contract to go out there and trade. He's better to prove his worth. As much as I like him, we need someone who plays more than 20 games a year. So, fans are mixed on the Kirby Dach contract. We'll see how this looks over the next few months, but it is only 1 year long, so it's not going to last. That is at least the good thing here. If Kirby Dach has yet another disappointing season, then that's it. There's no reason for Montreal to bring this dude back. 3rd overall, yeah. Top draft pick, yeah. Big trade acquisition a few years ago by Montreal, yeah. But if he's just not good enough, he's just not good enough. Now, speaking of guys who were good in the National Hockey League, let's shift our gears over to the Eagle. The Vancouver Canucks had their best defenseman in franchise history in Alex Edler return to the team today. Welcome back, Eagle. General Manager Ryan Johnson out of the Vancouver Canucks announced today that Alex Edler is joining the Canucks in the team's player development department, working closely with prospects throughout the organization. Edler joins the player development staff, and this is so interesting. Let's go out there and read the press release over here. Ryan Johnson announced today Alex Edler is joining the team. Alex knows firsthand what it means to be a Vancouver Canuck, said Johnson. His past experience in the NHL will really help in our players' development. He understands the demand of what it takes to be a good pro both on and off the ice, while his skill set and communication will be a big plus when it comes to coaching and mentoring our prospects. Earlier this month, we saw Alex's hands-on approach at our development camp in Abbotsford, and the feedback we received about the job he did was excellent. Prior to joining the club, Edler spent parts of 17 seasons in the NHL as a player, including 15 with Vancouver, after being selected in the third round, 91st overall in the 2004 NHL Draft. A native of Östersund, Sweden, Edler skated in 1,030 career games, split between the Canucks and the LA Kings, posting 438 points, 733 penalty minutes, and scoring 40 points and 78 penalty minutes in 93 playoff games. Internationally, Edler represented Sweden on numerous occasions, including the 2006 World Junior Hockey Championship, the 2008, 2013 Gold, and 2017 Gold World Championships, and the 2014 Winter Olympics, winning silver. Now, we gotta go out there and say this. Before Quinn Hughes came around, this guy was the best defenseman the Vancouver Canucks ever had. Maybe not in terms of specifically just on-ice talent. You could debate that Christian Ehrhoff, for the very limited time he was in Vancouver, was a more talented defenseman than Edler, but Edler, in terms of the records, in terms of the quality of play, in terms of the long-term consistency, he was that dude. He had all the records for Vancouver Canucks defensemen up until Quinn Hughes came and shattered it in a fraction of the seasons, but Edler debuted with the Vancouver Canucks in 2006-2007. He played his last year with the Canucks in 2020-2021. He was an LA King for 2 years where he was actually decently productive. And this was always going to be fun to watch because in Edler's later LA Kings days, he actually got paired back up with Troy Stecher, who found himself with the LA Kings as well after bouncing around with a whole bunch of different teams, including the Coyotes and the Detroit Red Wings, and inevitably LA. Stecher then went on to play for Calgary, he played for Edmonton, he played for Toronto, he's all over the place. But Edler stuck around. He had Vancouver and he had LA. Those were the two teams that he played for. Took a little bit of time off and then came back to the Canucks organization in a player development role. You know what's funny? This is essentially the same thing that the Sedins were doing the entire time, right? Player development department, working closely with prospects. They're essentially just running it all back. What's next? Roberto Luongo is going to be the goaltending coach. Kevin Bieksa is going to be the assistant coach, and Alex Burrows is going to be there too. This is not necessarily the worst idea in the world. Sure, it is good fanfare, but we will see how the long-term projectability of the 2011 Canucks works itself out as these players take on executive coaching and presidential roles within the organization. So with all that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Alex Edler coming back to the Vancouver Canucks organization? And how do you feel about the Canadiens signing Kirby Dach to a one-year, one-way contract? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.